Everyone, another Thursday and a wonderful day today here in beautiful LA, California. And we have an amazing topic today. Vedran, what did you put to be a topic of ours? Please share, like, comment, because this is going to be a very excited show today. There is a lot of okay, I'll be checking what they're doing.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Another beautiful Thursday. Hello from Los Angeles. Hello from wherever you're watching. We're really excited to connect with everyone. I just have to do the quick audio check just to make sure that...
What does it say? Sasha Riess and Vedran, and then what does it says? What's the topic?
So today we're going to talk about puppies and the first 24 hours.
Okay. I was... I received a lot of comments. I must be saying a lot of critics as well, because the people oftentimes question and judge everything I say, because they said you don't have a dog and it's not how it works. And, professionally working with the dog is one way, living with them is another way. And, after carefully revising our situations, thinking about non-believers, because that's very important part of the developing the brand. You need to, listen to the audience that care about you, even care so much that they're going to share what they don't like and why would they don't believe in what you say. So then I said, talking and preaching is one thing, but actually inspiring and moving along with the inspiration would be another thing. So with that said, me and Vedran has a nice chat a couple of weeks ago, and then we decided to actually put our actions where our mouth is, and we actually decided to have a puppy. So I'm gonna show you the puppy now. Just a second.
New puppy, joy in the air, and lots of things to talk about today.
There you go. Just let him. Okay, you're gonna meet now.
Oh, you're gonna show him on camera?
There you go. Meet little puppy. This is, I don't know, he didn't get his name. He's kind of with us 1 week so far. And what's very important here is that relationship we develop with this dog going to be recorded on a daily level, on a daily basis. And we're going to go through this first 1 month that is crucial in how do you establish relationship with your puppy. Say hi to the world. Say bye world. That was enough. Okay. And today I want to talk about, okay, there is a, nope. We don't do that.
Oh, now he's giving him a little treat for being so nice.
Reward. So there is today we're gonna go about the first day, and I want you to share this with anyone you know, one thinking about a puppy, want a puppy, have a puppy, and it's very important. Then whenever you start introducing the routine, you start it with this first day. Especially when you have a puppy. First, we're going to go through the puppy experience, and then we're going to go over the other. We're gonna work that around with adopted dogs, as well with the dogs that we inherit from someone. But every single one of us goes through these phases. First phase is introduction. So that first day is one of the most important days in the puppy-human relationship. So let's go from the puppies first, because they are the most, how can I say, the puppies are the most sensitive creatures on this planet. Especially because we actually very graciously, we actually kidnap them from their mothers and their siblings and the litter and the breeders and whichever from their family. We don't judge which kind of family that is, but what we do actually is we go there, and as a present or for the money or whatever we do, we kidnap puppy from mothers and babies, fathers, whoever, and then bring them home. That's very important to understand what the puppy is actually going through. The puppy goes through enormously emotional stress. And if you don't let the puppy go through that pain, that pain can't be erased. That pain is a real pain, and we need to appreciate existence of the pain that the puppy is going through, and it can't be replaced by us at that moment. So the first 74 hours are the most important ones for the relationship with the baby, with the puppy, with the new family. So that's where everything starts to be actually laying the foundations for this relationship. So what we did, out of no matter what, we don't judge now the reason why someone goes to the puppy and how morally that's okay for puppy to get into a family. And how the puppy comes to us is we need to go to somewhere and then take the puppy. Now we have this scientific different, when is the best to take a puppy? Is it the 5 week, 10 week, 5 months, 7 months, whatever? When is the best? It's never the best. When you ask the puppy, when you ask that social structure of the pack animal and such a strong relationship that the dog has with their siblings, mothers, and the other parts of that family, it's so strong that whenever you take a puppy away, it's going to hurt them a lot. So what's usually happening when we bring the puppy home, then the home is excited because there is new puppy, and if there are kids around and everyone is around, and the puppy gets full attention of that day, and he doesn't actually get a chance to grieve. The most respectful way of interacting with the puppy in the first 72 hours is allowing them right and space to experience that separation from their mothers and siblings. So that's one of the most important parts when the humans and the dog creates the bond. You can always come back and go back and reinstate that bond if you didn't do it right. But you need to evoke those primary emotions of the baby's grief in order to let them through those emotions. If we say dogs are emotional creatures, they are. That is why we are able to establish such a nice relationship with them, because we are emotional creatures. On which level? That's to debate. Level of the consciousness, level of emotional experience, that's debatable, but it's not questionable in a sense of debatable of how much and of which source, but existence of those is undebatable. And because how do we know it's undebatable? Because all of us experience that. And the dogs experience that with us too. So what the humans need to understand at that point is there is not a place for the human-dog interaction that takes such a place that ever actually overwrites the baby's grief for the family. So what you do, you respect that grief. There is a welcoming ceremony. You always need to be aware of that when you bring a dog to a family, the family welcomes dog by appreciating the grief that the baby is going through and how the grief is best to go through in loneliness and support. So that I do understand, I told to my puppy. Now I do understand. That was a little meditation that we had. And I was, having my little drum ritual of welcomeness.
Yeah, we're gonna release that video tomorrow. So
Okay, am I too much boring? Huh?
no. I was just
So tomorrow,
giving
sorry. So tomorrow
they're gonna see
you're
it
gonna
instead
see
of
that.
you describing it, but you can still talk about the significance because it's just gonna be like a short
Five.
micro blog.
Yeah. So the most important thing is actually that you give and pay the tribute to that baby's grief, to the puppy's grief, and that you know that puppy is doing nothing more. The puppy is not interested in you, in anyone in that family. What the puppy tries to do is to find a way home, try to find parents, mother, father, siblings. And you can, the best way is to, plan before you get the puppy, to plan where you want to be with the puppy, where the puppy gonna stay. I'm gonna, talk about that a little more in some other episodes, but today I wanna go what happens when you take a puppy at home. So you have this place, we have a very big apartment, like 2,000 square feet here. It's a pretty enormous. And then for the first couple of days, we place his little bed in our bedroom, and he do sleep in our bedroom, but he sleeps in his little bed. And it was enough for us to take him to his little room, so he doesn't have too much space that actually need to explore, need to look after, need to control, need to introduce itself without us developing a nice relationship. So oftentimes I'm pretty much against the crate, so I kind of don't create nothing. I try to work without the crates, but the crate can work as well, like a little home. If you literally need to crate is also okay, but create a little. It's always better if you create a little, like a little part of the room within the room, so you kind of downsize. Whatever apartment you have, you downsize it little, and then let the puppy explore and meet more of the space together with you once the puppy trusts you enough. So what we did here is we introduced this, that's very important thing, that once you understand the puppy is grieving for his family, then you need to know that the puppy gonna actually try to call the family to come and pick him up by peeing and pooing all over the place. That's not because the puppy doesn't know, it's not a potty trained or whatever. That's only because he tries to show that actually he's somewhere else, away from the mother and the siblings. And now he needs to leave signals for them to start looking for him. And that approximately lasts, depending on the character of the dog itself. So it changes in between dog and to the dog, but lasts in between around 72 hours, up to 3 days. Then he gonna actually be sure that the mom will probably never come to pick him up, that he will never ever meet his siblings again. And now he need to look for the solution of that. And then the dog turns over, and then the domestication of the wolf actually happens in your little home. But that way, when you leave a space for the dog to grieve, then you will give him a chance to go through those primary emotions without impacting them, without turning them into some better ones and easier ones to deal with, because it's actually going to cause more drama and more trouble down the road. Because you never know how those secondary emotions that going to actually be covered by the people going to turn on us. So how the level of the emotional state looks like. So when something like that happen, we need to understand that the puppy is under the high stress. Like you would always, he's my baby, he's my angel, he's my this, he's my that. So if he's all of that to you, then you put yourself in your shoes and you create the same environment, same circumstances of you being kidnapped from your family and taken away somewhere to be raised by another family. So, and that on top, it's kind of like doesn't gradually, the puppies are the puppy of 3-4 months is already like a child of 4 to 6 years old. So it's not like that the dogs are, you know, one year for 7 years. No, it's much more on the beginning. So first couple of years, it's not 1 to 7. The first year is actually, when the dog have a first year, I think it's up to 16. It's around 16 years old in a human correction. Like, and then it drops. When he's 2 years old, he's not 36, but he's 24. Something like that, and then more in dog years, less is years calculated in the human years gets to. But how did they come up to the 7? It's because when you take an average year calculation, it comes down averagely to be 7. But the first year would be like, how would I feel if at age of 6 or 7 I would be taken away from my family and placed in another family? If you really want to observe dogs as your children, then see it from the day one. How would you feel if exactly what we are creating in the life of the dogs, you would need to go through? And that's that primary emotions that are actually emotions that we experience when something impacts our life, that creates such a big impact, stress. And, you know, when someone dies, or when some big separation happens, something that actually can help us grow. Because idea is actually to use that block of primary emotions and then process them, understand where they're going to take you, where is the next level of those emotions, and don't fall a trap for. By trying to put it under the carpet and cover it with the secondary emotions that are, for example, much easier to deal with. So what that can end up having to us, let's say in psychology, in the family constellation, we know, for example, that the anger is a secondary emotions that arises if the grief or the pain is compressed. So the primary emotion was something that I experienced in my life, and now I compressed that because it was too painful to deal with that, and at that time, I didn't have a valid support to go through that. Then that pain got covered with the secondary emotions that is much easier to deal with, and that secondary emotion might end up turning into anger. Then children become angry. But what happens when the dogs become angry? Because we didn't let them go through the primary emotions of separation from the family. They become aggressive. They might become aggressive. So the idea is actually the dogs, since they are living in the now and they're always present, they live life, usually, if the people doesn't interfere with them, in so-called meta emotions. The meta emotions are the ones that are actually seeing the world as it is without being emotionally engaged in it. So why the dogs got emotionally engaged with the humans? Because we never let them grieve whatever the lifestyle before us they had. Even if we take a dog from the shelter, no matter how the dog likes to be adopted, how the dogs like to leave the shelter, for the pack animal, leaving the space where they are, it's the most stressful experience. So even when you adopt the dog from the shelter, by doing such a nice thing to the dog, you need to go through this, let the dog grieve. So how are you going to do that? Leave him alone. No talking. No baby talk, especially no baby talk. And that's when you leave the dog alone, provide him a food, do it through the rituals, take him to let him, the puppies are nice, they take him to provide him a place for the pee and poo, and know that he probably gonna pee at that because he's trained to pee, maybe, or he gonna gravitate towards toilet and pee pads like naturally, but he gonna pee all over the place, not because he hates you, but because he wants to invite his family to find him. He wants to, pee and poo all over the place to leave the signals for his family. So that's gonna stop slowly in day number 4, immediately. So, and then leave the dog and see when he gonna slowly start approaching you, following you, looking after you, but not in a way, because if you give him too much attention, in the moment, what happens is that you take him away from the primary emotions, you cover that grief with some whatever, we put them in, and later on we will never know how those emotions are gonna look to express themselves. And again, so what actually is you do your part. You provide a place, you provide a space, you do that meditation of the welcoming and understanding what you did to that animal. You took him away from his family. For no matter what reason, we don't judge the reason. I took this dog away from his mother and the father in order to create a content to prove people that this way of pure love and harmony relationship with the dogs is possible. Less you talk, more you do, better relationship you have with your dog. Because that's the most important. It's a relationship beyond the word. If you need to tell me that you love me, and I don't see that from your actions, or I don't feel that, you don't need to tell me I love you. I love you is too kind of, how can I say, it's too overpriced words, almost without real meaning if just used too often and in every single circumstances. Give them the value. Give those words the value by proving them. Try to prove your love every single day, over and over and over to ones you love, without telling them that. And then when you actually communicate, especially to your kids, it's very important for them that they know they are loved. And by telling to your kids that over and over and over, but also supported with your actions, that you're gonna do what's right. That's exactly where we need to be with our dogs in the first 72 hours. It's not that we create any vacuum. It's not that we punish them and we want them to come to us because we are going to be alpha and we're going to be a leader. And now if I'm going to give you a food, you need to approach me, and then faster you come to me, you're going to be, breaking. And oftentimes you hear this, how long it took you to break the dog, or how long it took you to break the horse. You don't need to break anything. You need to let them grieve. And from that space of respect, that you understand what you did to that animal, because of our selfishness. I took this dog because I was selfish, and I was enough proud that I don't need to talk to the people. Now I need to inspire people. But how are you going to inspire? By showing them. Now I need to prove that what I'm talking is actually right. Because led me to the worldwide famous career in the dog world. Exactly that. Living pure love and harmony life with the dogs. I didn't know how to do it with the people. Slowly now I'm trying to get all of those rules incorporated with the human relationship. But the dogs were my life. They saved my life. And everything I made in my life, I owe to dogs. And the people around me that let me be close by dogs, and then be able to pay back as much as I could. And I would never be able to, when I was bullied and when everyone was turning on me, I didn't feel welcome nowhere. The only safe place where I was able to get attention and love were dogs. And that is how I entered this world. And now, because of my selfishness, now I need the dog so I can prove people that everything what I talk about, it's actually able to be seen and witnessed on camera. But that's the world. And because of that, in my little welcoming ceremony, I was actually saying thank you to that little animal that need to go through this experience of separation in order to make a place for this beautiful message to be spread. So then on this little ritual level, we partnered in this journey, and I was doing this little, drum ritual of respect of the ancestral needs for us to join in order to create something bigger to this world and community. Because if we manage to do that, maybe we're going to save some of the dogs from being put down because they end up in a shelter. We're going to maybe save some kids or people being bitten by the dogs because the humans don't know how to work with them. Those dogs might end up being put down because they killed someone or injured someone. You never know where this beautiful, pure love and harmony relationship with the dogs can lead us. But understand, when you take puppy, and the puppy is a pack animal. It's a little wolf that in his little mind, he owes everything to his strength is in his family. And when you extract that little puppy away from the pack, what you create in that little puppy is a sense of fear that he won't make it through. Because for the pack-related animals, the only way to make through is to belong to a pack. Now there is some humans that want a puppy, and now they go somewhere and buy the puppy and take the puppy away from the mother, bring them in their home, and they try to give them all the love at that first couple of days, where actually all of that turns to be wrong. Not because you need to make yourself alpha so the dog approaches you. No. You need to let them come to you when they are ready to accept you instead of their family. And the decision is on them. You create vacuum, you create space for that to happen. By doing your job, providing the space, providing the place for the toilet, not training the dog to pee and poo on the right place in the couple of first days, because it's impossible. And if you start, don't do that, don't do it, put the dog in the crate, he peed again, he did this thing. Of course he did. He tries to invite his mother and his siblings to find him and come and rescue him. Of course he's going to pee and poo everywhere. You just need to understand that that's going to last for a couple of days, up to 3. And then slowly he's going to start gravitating towards one place, toileting on the right place, eating as much as it comes. But all of those interaction with the dog need to be communicated through the rituals, because owning a dog is a responsibility. The less words we use in communicating with the dog, more we're gonna need to be inspired by our actions to do the right thing. And then we're gonna be forced to be disciplined to act rather than react on when they make some mistakes. So when they make some mistakes, they didn't do it because they wanted to hurt you. They didn't do it because they didn't understand what is theirs to do.
Or out of spite.
Yeah, what's spite?
A spite is like to get back at someone for doing something. But I think that's like really beautiful what you said. And like we can't stress that point enough about silence. Like the dogs, they love silence. There's ancient proverbs that say and talk about silence is golden. So, for those first couple of days, just imagine how it would be if you're taking into a new environment, you're traumatized, the puppy probably traveled, it's in a new unfamiliar territory. And now what typically happens is when a new puppy comes in, people, when like you're like on top of someone, when you're showering them with so much affection, like they get smothered literally. And that's, nobody likes that. Even kids, when they get to when they're not like tiny babies, but when they are like 4 to 6, they say, don't baby talk to me, I'm not a baby. The kids, they hate to get smothered and hugged and kissed by, even like sometimes they get annoyed if their parents do it, let alone someone that they don't know. So I think it's the same situation for the dog. And I really love that point about that you said, that respect and honor the grief of what the dog is going through. And I think that can't be stressed enough. Like, don't talk, because when we talk to the dogs, we look like fools talking a foreign language that they don't understand. They understand the intention, they understand what we want them to do. And it's all about communicating with the dog on a level of intention, telepathy, intuition. So, all those things, because to them, they will associate the meaning to the words, of course, because they're very intelligent. But just talking to them for the sake of talking to them is not fair to them, because again, how would you feel if someone is constantly speaking a foreign language to you? You know, they look at us, they react, they waggle their tail, but those are all signs of anxiety because they're anticipating or thinking that we want them to react to the words that we're speaking. So again, silence is golden. I don't think you can stress that enough. But then people will come back and say, oh, isn't it cruel to ignore your dog or to not talk to them? It's actually the opposite. They thrive, they rejoice in silence. And once you give them that opportunity where they actually have a choice to come to you and you're not constantly picking them up, and like what you were saying earlier, don't do that, don't do this, stay out of that, know that, know that. We develop this pattern of almost every little move they're watched and they're reprimanded. And then same things when they go in, when they turn into big dogs. We just saw this outside walking. If a dog is in a fence, you know, like they'll start barking at people walking by, and the owner, they don't know how to react. So they get the dog even more hyped up by like screaming and clapping their hands. So then in the dog's mind, they think, oh, I must be doing something right, and I'm chasing away the intruder. And because my owner now is participating by screaming and clapping. So
It's just never-ending story.
yeah.
That's a wonderful point, and then that's very important. I don't tell this, okay, do this or do that. I'm just telling, be aware of the grief that the puppy is going through the days when you take them with you. That will put us in a place where do you want to, let yourself understand yourself when you was going through some grieving period, because probably they're gonna never meet their parents anymore. I don't think so. Our puppy gonna ever meet his mother, nevertheless his father or his siblings. So that's, in some case, it's like they died for him. They doesn't exist for him anymore. So the grief must be on a level. I can't remember how did I grieve when I lost my mom 2 years ago. And I do know that, let alone that, what was the most peaceful to my mind was not when I was talking to the people that were sharing, condolences and all kind of those things that I appreciated. But the most biggest healing I got from my own silence, that I wanted to be alone, just to process the memories, to process the sadness, to process the grief, to allow it to be, not to rub it under the carpet and then wait for some better time to come, because that's disrespectful of my mom and everything she did in my life and for my life. And that's when you want to give that first day to your dog as a proof of your respect, you need to put yourself in the shoes of that little puppy. What is he really going through? And that's exactly that. He will never see his parents again, never see his siblings again. For him, that old life of belonging to his doggy family is forever gone. He's just not aware of that yet. And those first 3 days, you need to have a high level of the self-control. That is why you want to dedicate one small place of your big apartment or one small part of your room, if you live in the small space, for the dog to own and to explore the outside of that on his own will. And you're going to welcome him to that place soon after he's ready for that. And after that, after he become aware of that he will never, ever meet the family he was taken away from. And from that moment, the relationship between you and your dog lays and builds on the blocks of respect. And if you give the chance to the dogs to love you, you need to first give them a chance to show and prove them how much you love them. But prove it. Don't talk about that. Prove it by giving them a space to grieve. Remember that when you have a puppy, from now on, next time, when you bring a puppy, and the puppy gonna be very grateful for that. Because you didn't went there and then overcome and be there for the puppy. Oh, where are you? Look at how great. Oh my God. Puppy just got lost in those words of nothingness, in that overwhelming excitement that our kids, you prepare your kids for the dog's coming. It's not a toy. It's not a toy that your kid's gonna get for the Christmas present that's gonna need to be taken out from the box because you wanna make them be surprised. The kids should learn that the dog is coming, and they should be prepared how to interact with and explain to the kids what did you do in order for them to have a dog. You needed to go somewhere. Your kids, we have a family. And if I want to make my family be now having a dog, my kids need to understand that now the doggy family need to be broken so we can have a pet. And if you explain that to your kids, not making a cute little toy out from the dog, then the kid's gonna understand what the dog is going through, respect it, because you might want to put the perspective of them like, how would you feel? Unfortunately, that's a high-end, talk to the kids, but that might bring a responsibility to the table because it's true. And if we want to uncover the truth, then the truth has a tendency to come and bite us in the ass in a completely unexpected way. And that's why you want to be upfront about what actually the action of taking a puppy and bringing him at home as a surprise holds with it. Because unfortunately, maybe the statistic doesn't lie, and I wouldn't love your family to be one of many that abandoned the dog because you couldn't find a way through misbehaving, peeing and pooing all over the place, becoming aggressive, or no matter what reason are the excuses for the separation of the dogs. The beautiful dogs that end up in the shelter and maybe killed just because the people didn't know how to do it right. Right? Didn't I say maybe wasn't it maybe too rough, too hard?
It wasn't, but what was the part about? So like a new dog comes in and it gets showered with all this attention for like the first couple of weeks, like a new toy, and then naturally like it gets boring. People lose interest like with anything else, and then the dog still has like 12 to 16 or 20 years. So you're saying that we can do a lot of damage if like in those first critical days or critical weeks,
they won't stop, they won't stop barking because they're going to develop that uncertain relationship with the family because they don't trust family.
You know what else is interesting? Like, so let's say the puppy like cries and does want to be brought the first night once, because that's what our little puppy did. Like he wanted to come into bed, but you're saying they're just doing that like out of desperation, and then to better serve them, you just let them be. Or
how, again, like let's do this, like let's put this, because it's so important to get the right comparison to this moment. And because I tell my story, I'm gonna put it back to loss of my mom. Because that's exactly what's going to happen to the dog as well, the puppy as well. So when I was going through that grief in the first couple of days, weeks maybe, I was actually wanting to talk to the people. And then when I talk to them, I feel worst. Because the people usually, the way of support the people say, wouldn't be the support that I would actually need. It's normal to grieve after loss of parents. And it's not normal to be taken away from that. But the parents, the friends, usually what they do is, oh, poor you, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that. You know, they try their best. But every single time after that, I feel more weakened than I was before. So we tend to look for the help. And then when we get the help and that help is not right, then we end up being worse. And that would happen to the puppy. Puppy tries to get the help from someone that's around. And he tries to scream and cry and do. He was doing that only one night, right? The first night.
Like maybe the first 3 nights.
3 nights? Yeah, that maybe makes sense. I didn't even hear him
And
doing
then
that on the other nights.
I
because
screwed up one night because before bed I started playing with him like right before bedtime, and that was, you know, obviously the wrong thing to do because it just got him all worked up, and then, you know, we had to
restart again.
Yeah.
And it's easy to fall for tricks. Follow the YouTube channel Sasha Riess World. We're gonna try to put out more concrete. Here I'm gonna talk about more of the emotional things that you become aware. Maybe we are not just aware of that. And but the YouTube gonna give you a real deal on what to do. And those are like simple, easy tricks, and I don't have their time to talk about that. But here I want to stress what actually we do, and we maybe are not aware of that. We just got a puppy, and puppy is cute. And what's wrong in loving a puppy? Wrong is because you don't understand the point, what you did to the puppy. But that's what you do. You go to somewhere, you take a puppy, you bring it home. That's what the people do. Yeah. But can you give a bigger picture? Can you put yourself in the shoes of the puppy, what the puppy is going through? Who are you to the puppy? Kidnapper? Who am I to a puppy? A kidnapper, right? And if you don't give if we don't call the right thing with the right name, we will never be able to develop a good relationship. We need to take a responsibility for our doings. It's a cute puppy, but for the puppy, we killed his entire world. And those griefs and those respect should arise from the one that's conscious in that relationship, and that should be a human. Because if that's not right, then the grief won't be at the place, then the puppy won't grow in that grief, understanding that you will be there for him, but not instead of him. Because those are the best friends. Those are the ones that actually support. When you go to the psychologist, and when you go to the right friend, he would tell you that nothing less than the grief at this point would be normal. And I can't leave that instead of you. That's something you need to go through. But I can be by your side. I can be by your side. So you feel support. And go through that experience on your own, because that's the only way to grow. So the handful of the people that I had around myself when my mom passed away were doing exactly the same. And Vedran was one of them, thanks God. It's not to take that grief away from me, because it's priceless. The child can lose only one time a parent in their life. And after that, never is as it was again. And if you go through that experience on your own, by knowing you have someone by your side, that's a place of growth and quantum leap in development of the personality and emotional intelligence, growth of it. If you would have everyone there instead of you, by telling you how sad it is and how sorry they are and how this, don't be sorry for me. That's the last thing I need. I don't need anyone to feel sorry for me, because there is nothing to feel sorry for. And how these two stories combine to each other, loss of my mother and having a puppy, Because the puppy goes through the same experience. And if we really want to give them this humanization of talking to them and loving them and being, giving them and putting them a burden on themselves like they are another human, then look at the big picture. Put the picture of the humanization through the entire spectrum of our relationship, not only when it pleases us. That's a pure love and harmony. Living in order of harmony. And order of harmony is something that the humans need to develop with the other creatures. There is no harmony around us. And if we don't live in a harmony, we can't survive in this environment. So we can learn a lot from our dogs. And this is where I said, yes, we did find the puppy. And the puppy sleeps here happily under our little desk. And he sleeps here just because I actually wanted puppy to be here so I can, put him up when we start the show, and then I put him down immediately. We don't take him too much in our hands. But he's extremely, extremely, extremely happy puppy. You'll be able to see him on our Instagram and Facebook page more often, because I want to show you what actually happy dog means. When we have friends over, he's like 2 weeks now here. Today it's second week starting. We had a friends over. He comes here, looks for them, and then he walks in his little bed, in his little room, stays there because we are busy with something else. And he just knows that he can't beat us and our attention when there is no need for that. And he has, this little thing is so sweet and it's so, adorable. And sometimes you fall for that, like Vedran did on a third night, because but the puppy need to be, the puppy need support. No, puppy need strength. And that strength should arise from his own way of dealing with the primary emotions. Don't cover them with the easier one to deal, because those ones might kill even maybe the dog or someone else. Because what if he would cover this grief with the anger, and then the only way to express the anger would be to become aggressive. And if you would lay down, how did I ended up having an aggressive dog or raising the aggressive dog? It's because I interfered with his way of dealing with the pain of loss. And then I tried to be instead of him. I took his burden on myself. Then of course he's gonna be angry at me. And you're gonna see that usually, those people, okay, let's go to divorce, for example, because maybe a lot of us can go through that one. When you have a divorce, and now the good friends are taking, the divorce starts kind of like, I don't live good with my husband, things like that. You start telling that to your friends, and then your friends has opinion, and usually the one is that talking bad about your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. And we somehow work it out, right? We find a way to work it out, and then you see slowly these friends that were talking bad about my husband or my wife, I get angry actually at them. And then not because they told me something bad, or they try to help me. Help me to divorce the one that I have a problem with. But it was not theirs to do. It was theirs to remind me that they will be there for me, but they can't interfere in my decisions and my growth that this relationship is just about to bring to me. Either I'm going to stay in it or I'm going to move away. But that decision should be mine. That's a sacred place. And usually that's the same way what happens with our doggies. If we interfere in their processes without respecting them, they're going to become angry at us. That's how it goes. It's a law of energy. It's a law of harmony. It's a law of order. It's not because they want, it's because that's the outcome. When someone pulls you in the secondary emotions, then that's the one you become angry at, even though maybe they saved your life. Because at that time, in order to deal with those emotions, we needed a right support. And if that right support is not there, literally we could die. And then pulling us in the secondary emotions would be life-saving. But for a short time. Then how do we deal with the primary emotions? Again, we go to therapists. And then we go to therapy, then the psychologist is taking us back, supervising our way back to the primary emotion, and slowly taking us through those emotions again. And then we actually see that we can see through that anger, whatever. And then we see that I'm not angry at my mom that she died and left me and she's never not here. No, I just never grieved her. And that's why I slowly see that anger arises in me. And that's the same way how the dogs interact with us. It's not different. They are the pack animals like we are. That's why we was able to make this beautiful relationship, because they could fit in our system as we can fit in theirs. But there is an order, there is a way, there is a right path. And that path is strict and disciplined, so everyone, fulfill his promise and part of the contract that we made, and we still fulfilling, and the contract is made like 30,000 years ago. So I don't know, do you want to, pull out something more, or maybe, make something clarify what I said and maybe it's not clear?
No, everything is clear. I think that the micro blog video is going to also give a lot of detail, because it's really designed to empower new and existing owners to really raise a well-rounded, centered, calm dog that does the right thing because it chooses to by its own volition. It's not forced to, it's not beat into, it's not bullied into doing anything. It does the right thing by choice. And it's just a beautiful way to have a life with a dog, because you don't want a dog that's anxious all over the place, jumping on you 24/7, jumping on people, rambunctious. We all know the people that are having a difficult time walking their dog down the street on a leash. So everything is rooted, everything stems from the things that we do at home. So by following this little micro blog video that we're going to start releasing tomorrow, you'll be able to get like a good sense of what we're talking about. And again, it's all with a lot of compassion, keeping the dog's well-being in mind and really respecting their space, their privacy, and their inherent needs, and really not putting our human ways or thinking that they think like us or that they can process information the same way that we do. It's a really, really deep, profound way of living with a dog that comes from Sasha's expertise in the field professionally for 30 plus years. So it's quite a treat. I'm really excited, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much, actually, for inspiring all of this and jumping on board of having this little puppy with us, so I can actually, every single word of ours can be seen in action. So no words anymore, as much as action. Once a week we're gonna come back to give an update on a little deeper stories to this entire picture. But a responsibility and hard play is something that we need to become aware of, because it's not just it's a big responsibility. Caring for someone that doesn't have any possibilities to understand the world around, and we are the ones that are more conscious in that relationship, is a huge responsibility and big responsibility. And it should be performed up to a task, or it shouldn't be performed at all. And sometimes we can't resist, because we need dogs to go through some certain period of our life with their support. But it's not us going through their destiny, as it's not theirs to go through our destiny. And then with that said, I think we can finish slowly here,
Yes. Thank you,
right?
everyone, so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the beautiful comments, and cheers to all the successful dog owners and all the future successful doggy parents.
Thanks. See you next week.